I've been homeschooling my kids for the past 10 years, and over the years, I have heard some pretty crazy stereotypes about homeschoolers. Today, I'm going to bust the top 5 myths that I have heard. Number one is by far the most common one that probably everybody has heard of, that homeschoolers are unsocialized. And while maybe that was true many, many years ago when there weren't very many homeschoolers, that is definitely not true today. There are so many opportunities for homeschoolers to socialize and be involved in so many different types of activities. Homeschoolers can be involved in co ops, homeschool classes, activities that public school kids are involved in, like sports and all these different types of things. That, if anything, it is much more likely that a homeschooler has too much socialization than too little. I actually think that my homeschool kids had a greater opportunity to socialize because they weren't stuck in school all the time. They didn't have homework. They didn't have all these responsibilities that are placed on kids that are going to a traditional school. They had more opportunities to spend time with friends, to do classes that they were interested in, to pursue their hobbies, their interests, to get jobs during normal school hours as they got a little bit older. And there's definitely not a lack of socialization in the homeschool community. Even though homeschooling is on a huge rise and there's so many opportunities, that is still the number one concern that people have when I tell them that my kids are homeschooled. Number two, that homeschooling is expensive. You could really spend as much or as little money on homeschooling as you want. It could be completely free, or you can spend hundreds to thousands of dollars every year on homeschooling. There have been years where I spent $0 on homeschool, and some years that I spent more than I would care to admit on homeschool curriculum. And to be honest, the years that I spent more money, it wasn't really worth it. It is convenient to have a curriculum that's been put together and it does save time, but the best years of our homeschool have really been the ones where we have pursued our own interests and pieced together different resources just based on what we were really interested in that year. There was one year that my daughter was really into Percy Jackson and astronomy and mythology, and we read every single Percy Jackson book. We went and visited planetariums. We did this astronomy unit that we went out and watched the night sky throughout the entire year and watch it changed. We learned the different constellations and all about mythology. And that was like one of the most fun years that we had while homeschooling. And that cost us very little money. There are so many free resources available, from online resources to the library, museums, activities put on by your community, parks. There's just so much stuff that you can do for free while homeschooling, and it 100% does not have to be expensive. I recently did a video on how much it costs to homeschool, and you can check that out. I will link that down below if you're interested in that topic. Number three, you cannot work in homeschool. There are lots of working parents who are still able to homeschool their kids. When I first started out, I was a single mom. I was working full time and I was still able to homeschool. At the time, I had 2 kids that I was homeschooling. I have continued to work the entire time that I have homeschooled. Work looks a little bit different. I have found ways to not have to go to an outside job. I work from home. I have my own schedule. I'm a lot more flexible in the ways that I have worked, but I've always had to bring in an income. And I've always wanted to bring in an income. Like, working for me is something that I find value in. Homeschooling takes a lot less time than you would think, especially when your kids are little. It doesn't really take a whole lot of time to actually homeschool. And then as they get older, they're a lot more independent. It's really more of a childcare issue than a do I have time to homeschool issue. So if you can find childcare when your kids are younger, then you can definitely work and homeschool, pursue a career, do all the things that you want to do as an adult, as a parent, and still have plenty of time to homeschool your kids. Number four, you have to know everything to homeschool. And that is definitely not true. You just have to be willing to learn and to be able to find resources to help your kids learn the information that you don't know. That might mean online classes, buying curriculum, resourcing to like outside people, maybe a co op, or getting them enrolled in classes that they might be interested in. But you definitely do not have to be a wealth of knowledge and understand algebra through calculus to be able to homeschool even high school. You just have to be able to provide your kids with the resources that they need, the curriculum they need, maybe dual enroll in community college. Then it's so easy when they're little. Like you guys can learn together. You don't have to know all of the historical facts. Like that's the most fun part of homeschooling as a parent is getting to like learn with your kids, read really cool books, and I have learned so much and had so much fun homeschooling over the years. I actually went to school to get my degree in elementary education. All the classes that you take are not actually learning the information that you're going to teach the kids. It is learning how to implement curriculum, to manage classrooms, and child development. So it's not really learning the knowledge. Like you are given a curriculum to teach the kids in a classroom. You don't have to know that information. You just have to be able to relay it to the kids and teach it to the kids when that information is in front of you. Number five, you have to be religious to homeschool. There are more and more variety of people who have started to homeschool. And while it used to be mostly for religious reasons, and it still is a lot of the reason why people homeschool, there's still a huge population of people who are homeschooling and their main reason is not religion. You used to only be able to find religious curriculum, and today there's a lot more secular curriculum. Some of the reasons people are homeschooling besides religion is just for academic reasons. Maybe the school is not teaching your kid to the academic rigor that you would like them to learn. Parents are not liking the curriculum that's being taught in the schools. There's a lot of bullying, harassment, violence going on in the schools today that people don't want to expose their kids to. There are a lot of neurodivergent kids that are not doing well in the school system. Their parents are realizing that they can learn a lot better at home, and the stress and the structure of school is overwhelming to their kids. These are kids that have ADHD or autism, and they are realizing that that box doesn't work for their kids. And then there's families who just want the freedom to have their own schedule, to travel, to experience life in their own way. Let me know what the biggest myth is that you hear about homeschooling in the comments down below. And thank you guys so much for watching.